ساتوی پسرو وینو دا د شهیدانو کور دا د باتورانو کور دا د باتورانو کور دا د باتورانو کور دا د باتورانو کور ساتوی پسرو وینو دا د شهیدانو کور دا
Good evening. Today is Wednesday, January 29, 2025. I'm Suleiman Talash and you're watching RTA News. A meeting of the National Food and Medicine Board was held under the chairmanship of Maulavi Abdul Salam Hanafi, the administrative deputy of the Prime Minister. The ARC said in a statement that the meeting discussed the quality control of manufactured and imported food and medicines, preventing the import of illegal food and medicine, of substandard food products, ensuring food safety, and strengthening laboratories, and made necessary decisions. According to the press release, the relevant institutions were tasked with monitoring manufactured and imported food and medicines in this meeting. Maulavi Hayatullah Mahajir Farahi, Deputy Minister of Information and Culture, met with Maulavi Ahmadullah Muttaqi, Director of the Information and Culture Department of Herat, during his visit to the province. Mr. Farahi emphasized the support of journalists, saying that the Ministry of Information and Culture organized a seminar for spokespersons to emphasize sharing information with journalists. The Foreign Minister says that the Islamic Emirate wants good relations with the United States. Maulavi Amir Khan Muttaqi said in a recent interview with BBC that they do not want Afghanistan to become a competition arena for the world's superpowers. The Foreign Minister called the request by the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court to arrest the leader of the Islamic Emirate and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court to be unjust. We have more details in this report.
In a recent interview with BBC, Maulavi Amir Khan Muttaqi, the Foreign Minister of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, said that the Islamic Emirate wants good relations with the entire world, including America, based on mutual respect.
After this, we do not want Afghanistan to be a negative confrontation between the countries of the region and the superpowers. We want Afghanistan to be the center of connection, economy, politics, and cooperation with everyone. In this regard, we have good relations with many countries and so on. We want relations with the West and America.
Mr. Muttaqi called the request by the prosecutor of the International Crime Court to arrest Amir al-Mu'minin Hafazahullah, the leader of the Islamic Emirate, and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court to be unjust.
Every night, hundreds of trees were made to people, and in many places in Afghanistan, warlords had their own presence. It's unfair when those oppressors are not punished and arrest warrants are issued for those who have put an end to all this.
In an interview, the Foreign Minister said that the Islamic Emirate wants good relations with all neighboring countries and added that relations with one country do not mean opposition with another country.
We do not want to be hostile to India because of Pakistan or to be hostile to Pakistan because of India. Afghanistan is a country that has experienced 40 years of war and insecurity, and now we want to have good relations with all countries. But these relations mean that it is not that relations with India are the determinant of Pakistan. Our relations with Pakistan are to the determinant of India.
Referring to the depreciation of Afghani against dollar, Maulavi Amir Khan Muttaqi said that this situation is short-term and a propaganda wave, adding that the Islamic Emirate has controlled the situation.
Mullah Nuruddin Torabi, head of the National Disaster Management Authority, signed a memorandum of understanding worth more than $500,000 during a meeting with representatives of a Japanese charity organization. According to the memorandum, the organization will use this money to implement awareness programs about the dangers of mines and unexploded ordnance in Kabul and the districts of Zabul province. Sheikh Shahabuddin Dilawar, head of the Afghan Red Crescent Society, met with Hossein Botani, the head of the Qatar Red Crescent Society, to discuss the development of joint activities. In this meeting, Mr. Dilawar thanked the Qatar Red Crescent for its assistance and called for more assistance from the country to Afghans in need. At the same time, the head of the Qatar Red Crescent Society promised to organize capacity building seminars for the staff of the Afghan Red Crescent Society and provide more assistance. The Ministry of Mothers and Disabled Affairs says that it plans to distribute food and non-food items worth about $10 million to 70,000 orphans, widows, and disabled people during the next year. The spokesperson for the ministry adds that it has now signed cooperation agreements with 25 domestic and foreign humanitarian organizations. Let's see more in this report.
The Ministry of Martyrs and the Civil Affairs recently said that next year, in addition to distributing salaries to 70,000 disabled people, widows, and orphans, it will distribute food, non-food items, and cash assistance in the country. According to the spokesperson for the ministry, providing health services and providing educational and vocational training for the families of orphans and disabled people is also included in these services.
The social value and cost of this is around $10 million. Inshallah, we will try to expand and increase the coordination we have with international organizations and charitable institutions.
The spokesperson for the ministry adds that the distribution of aid to partners of domestic and foreign charitable organizations to deserving people in the country continues, and that the ministry has now signed a memorandum of understanding with 25 domestic and foreign charitable organizations.
Agreements have been signed with approximately 25 international organizations and charities, and on this basis, assistance is always provided to the relevant provinces through international organizations and charities.
Several disabled people and orphan families welcome this initiative of the Ministry of Martyrs and the Civil Affairs and consider the distribution of aid useful for them in the coming year.
We are very happy with the Ministry of Martyrs and Civil Affairs because they distribute aid to the deserving and disabled and handicapped people. May Allah reward them. We want to be helped and be supported and care for widows and orphans in the future.
Recently, the Minister of Martyrs and the Civil Affairs signed a memorandum of understanding worth 97 million Afghanis with an international charitable organization that distributes aid to about 40,000 orphans, widows, and disabled individuals in several provinces of the country during a year.
The Ministry of Interior Affairs says that it has repaired 100,000 military and civilian vehicles by its technical team. According to the spokesperson for the ministry, the repair vehicles include Rangers, tanks, ambulances, armored vehicles, and other vehicles which have been repaired and are ready to be reused. Inayatullah Al-Kawzai, the spokesperson for the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology, said that agreements have been signed between the ministry and these telecommunication companies to establish telecommunication sites in deprived areas of 8 provinces of the country. According to him, under these agreements, telecommunications companies will establish 14 telecommunication sites in deprived areas of Kabul, Kandahar, Paktia, Paktika, Khost, Helmand, Faryab, and Parvan provinces. 1.5 tons of various types of narcotics and 15 tons of acid collected by the General Narcotics Directorate in Nimroz province were burned by officials. The ceremony to burn the drugs was attended by the head of the court and Deputy Governor Maulavi Turjan Ahmadi. The Deputy Governor of Nimroz province said at the ceremony that the provincial administration does not allow anyone to smuggle narcotics through Nimroz. Mr. Ahmadi asked smugglers to resort to alternative activities and give up this activity. The Ministry of Justice says that 8,940 acres of Emirate land have been returned in provincial capital of Gaur, Kakmula village. According to the ministry, these lands were returned after technical team investigated, the usurpers confessed, and they were registered in Emirate land. And the final one is that the Logar Provincial Disaster Management Authority, with the support of the IRC International Organization, distributed cash assistance to more than 600 vulnerable families in the Baraki Barak district of the province. In another initiative, the Paktia Provincial Disaster Management Authority, with the financial support of the Danish Refugees Council, distributed cash assistance to nearly 300 needy families in the Rohani Baba district of the province. That's all for tonight. Thank you so much for being with us. Have a good night.
ساتوی پسرو وینو دا د شهیدانو کور دا